What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Dano Crypto. On this channel, we show you guys how to make simple, effective, and easy moves in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So currently, right now, we're having a little bit of volatility. The stock market even opened up kind of in the red due to some earnings that didn't come in too well. Wall Street is in red in response to some of the data. According to Reuters, we had the U.S. Indexes dip, everything kind of going down just a little bit, and the dollar apparently rallied up a little bit. So we'll have to look at the DXY. Gold is edging up, crude, and then Bitcoin both down 1%. And then, so this is kind of what's happening currently with the stock market. But then also there is a reason for the pullback for Ethereum and also for Bitcoin. If you're wondering why the prices are consolidating, is because yesterday for the ETF for Ethereum, we actually had some pretty decent outflows, and I'm pretty sure for Bitcoin as well, we actually started the week off with some outflows. As to where last week and the week before, we were inflowing a lot, in over 150 to 200 million in the daily for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. And Ethereum was actually even matching the same type of inflow that Bitcoin was having. So what is this telling us? Well, it's telling us that the institutional ETF inflow and outflows are correlating with the price. So it's actually now happening with Ethereum that it is a direct correlation of where we're going to see a little bit of sell pressure if we're seeing outflows and what the institutions and what these ETFs are looking like. So if you're wondering why things are looking a little bit in the red today, and why maybe some of your trades probably got rocked over, either overnight or you saw them, kind of go into the red. And that is why, my friends. So there's no confusion. There's no, you now know. That is why. It's pretty direct cause. And then also, we'll just look and see what's down on the daily right now. Hex down 8%. We have, let's see, Pingu down 6.8%, and pretty much almost everything is in the red, but there's a few outliers. So this is what's interesting. We have Polygon. We were talking about actually yesterday that it's funny, the two coins that I said that were the most underrated old blue chip coins, Polygon and Litecoin. I literally said both of those, and now today they are in the green where money is shifting over. And so that's really cool that is the two coins that are in the green. But then we also have an older one as well from previous cycles, is Tezos. So old Tezzy here, XTZ, Tezos is pretty old coin from I think it's even from 2017. And so a lot of people that are actually probably like old XRP army folks like Tezos. But yeah, this is interesting. Tezos up, Polygon, Litecoin, and Mantle. So you could all consider some decent blue chips. Mantle being a little bit newer, but gaining some traction and ground, especially being one of the altcoins that's in the World Liberty Financial Wallet. So maybe that could be something to pay attention to. And I believe also Mantle is being used for, is it for stablecoin minting, or is it, I can't remember. I get them mixed up because there's Ondo, there's Mantle, and I know they're being used for minting stable coins, but then also for real world assets, RWAs, and tokenizing stocks, I believe. I think that's Ondo. That's it. So yeah, don't quote me on this, but it's around in that type of ecosystem for those tokens. But yeah, so that's what's in the green today. A lot of everything else is in the red. If we go to the 100 to 200, yeah, Things kind of looking pretty much in the red. We got dog here, the number one meme coin on Bitcoin, down 6%. Some of the Pulse chain ecosystem tokens down a little bit. But yep, alts are taking a bit of a plunge again. And what could this mean? Let's see how the dominance is actually looking for Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. So I'd be curious to see how the dominance is reacting with Bitcoin, because we were actually hoping to see the dominance for Bitcoin get in these levels right here. Why? Because these levels right here are the levels that we want to see Bitcoin be for us to be risk on for alts, to be like getting in the sweet zone of now we are. Well, yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's not a full bearish. I think it's still a fake out. Yeah, they're flowing out. I agree with you. Stay calm. We're going to get into it because I don't think it's any reason to be bearish. I still think we're going and this is why I said Trump is bullish long. We're actually going to pull up his interview. He was on Squawk Box this morning. This is actually one of the things and one of the clips that we're going to pull up. I thought he was going to be there live, but he phoned in. So we're going to pull that conversation up and see what he talked about. And also, yeah, it's just everything that's lining up that what the Trump family is doing with their DeFi and also just what the Trump administration is signaling. Also with our government and the legislation that's happening right now, we have some White House articles to pull up. We also have some SEC articles that we're going to pull up and documents that we're going to go through. So stick with us on this live stream, my friends. Hit the like button, and we're going to pull all this up. But yeah, I think so. Point being, we should still be bullish. I think we're still in a zone where we're going to be going vertical again, but it's just this short-term volatility because of the nature of what the Fed has been doing with the numbers. The numbers are apparently up for scrutinizing that they're fake numbers. The jobs numbers were apparently rigged for political reasons. And also, Trump is signaling that Jerome Powell is acting out of political reasons. And so there's a lot of things up in the air right now. So that can cause some short-term volatility. But I think if we're looking at the long term, I think we're in a good spot. But in order for us to, I think, have a true altcoin season, Bitcoin dominance has to go down. It has to go down because when it's trended down, we start to see the money flow into things like ETH. We saw how the ETH dominance basically bottomed out right here in April, and then we started to get a nice recovery. And what's interesting is that this chart of the ETH dominance looks just like the chart of the BTC ratio for ETH. So whenever you start to see ETH dominance go up, you start to see the ETH BTC ratio chart look pretty. I just kind of realized this myself. The chart looks exactly the same. And so if we see ETH BTC start to go up to the 618, we'll start to see the dominance for ETH hit that similar level, which is probably if we do like a fib pull here, would be the 618 level at 13%, and we would see Bitcoin dominance start to trend down a little bit. Money still flowing in, but it's being rotated, and we continue as money's flowing in through the stablecoin minting on these chains. That's how the total cryptocurrency market cap is going to end up getting to this point, 15 trillion, 15 trillion just in Bitcoin and ETH alone. And then you go down the list of the rest of the altcoins, the blue chips and all that money flowing into there, up to 7 trillion, just that. Then you have 4 trillion is going to be memes and the rest of the market. I think memes alone could get to a $1 trillion market cap, total market cap for memes. 1 trillion. I know that's crazy. But just for memes alone, I think that can happen. And then the rest of the market and everything else, crypto gaming, would be in that category. So minimum getting up to a $20 trillion market cap for the total cryptocurrency market cap. Because when you look at this chart, it looks just like, and we're comparing charts, a lot of these charts look very similar, and it could be leading indicators of where we just need to be positioned for the next 10 years. Because if you are that person that positioned themselves in gold and out of the dollar the past 15 years, you would be up. Yes, it's not as much as Bitcoin, because if you were to be comparing this as to if you were to have just been accumulating Bitcoin for the past 10 years, but still, in the conversation of just gold from 2008, DCAing into gold, this chart looks pretty similar to the cryptocurrency total market cap. It's very, very similar. Very, very similar. Let's check it out. You look at this, and then you look at the total. Look at that. It's very, very similar. So I think that now that money that was in gold and also in the stock market is starting to rotate into the next leading asset class. And you can see that there's ETFs for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, and soon to be XRP, Litecoin, and among others that we hope will pump our bags. But we want the institutions in here. We want the liquidity. We want them to pump our bags, but they also sell as well. So we have to be ready for that volatility and know that there's markets and market makers and exchanges on the other side of all this that want to make money as well. That's why we try and keep eye on the liquidation levels and really do our best to remind you guys too that they're most likely going to liquidate the 50, 100x longs, which that's what they did. That's what they did to me. That's what they did to me. And now they're most likely going to be ranging it right back up. And this is with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana that they do it with the most, where they like to sell off like enough to dump the price into an area and cause a cascading wave of liquidations. And this is where a lot of that price volatility comes from. It's not from like retail buying and selling, like, oh, like there's just all these retail people that just all of a sudden decided that they need to sell Bitcoin because they got the job numbers data. No, that's BS. That's not how this works. Like you think that, and you think, so everyone's selling. No, it's Binance selling massive clips of millions of dollars of BTC that they can then know exactly where certain prices are and liquidation points and stop losses are, and they move the price because they're able to do so. It's the only reason why the market chops the way that it does is because of this fact, and it is 100% through the wash trading of these big exchanges. And Coinbase is guilty of it too. Binance and Coinbase. If you study what Marty Party has been megaphoning for a long time, now that I've been following him for a while, he's one of the ones, and really honestly, one of the only ones that is always reminding us of this. Specifically also with these liquidation lines. Pretty crazy. But yeah, all right, let's get into a little bit of the data for speculation on the rate cuts. We're supposed to get two to three cuts for the year, and we have 3 more FOMC meetings. So let's look at there it is. Couldn't find it. We have another meeting coming up September 17th, and this changed. This was actually more so, I think this was like split. It was like 40, it was like 50, it was almost like 50-50, or it was like 60% here, 30% there. Now we have that in September, there's an 88% chance that we will get a 25 basis point basis cut, which is, watch. Trump is going to be like, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's too late. It's too late. Too late, pal. He's got to cut the rates more. And then so here, it's actually at a 58% chance that we go and cut. Let's see, because we would be in a we'd be at 4% still. At close to 4% or 4.2%, because right now we're at like 4.5%. So we'd be at, I guess, like around 4%. And then in October, if we cut another 25 basis points, we'd be getting to 3.75, under 4%. And then the last meeting is in December. On December 10th, we have a 42% chance that it just stays the same, and then a 45% chance that we get another 25 basis points. So then it would be, that's actually what I think Jerome Powell and the committee, not just Powell, because it's probably also with the committee, because I guess there's like 12 or 15 other members that are on the Federal Reserve Committee, with Jerome Powell being the acting chairman. And I'm sure probably there's someone who's like directly under him. And so I'm sure it's a lot of them are trying to, and they have this plan to do a steady cut and not a extreme, like here's your 2%, now we're under 3. I think that's probably how it's gonna be laid out, is that we're just gonna get 25 each meeting going into next year. And then the next year, the following meeting is in January. And then that's where I think it's going to get pretty interesting, because then I think quarter 1 of 2026 is going to be where this is, I could be so wrong and I don't care, but I'm willing to bet on it, that quarter 1, 2026 is going to be insane. I think that's where we might possibly, some people get freaking sidelined out of their head, out of their mind, because Bitcoin could 100% this year go to 200,000, crash to 120. People think it's over. We go into 2026 quarter 1, and it goes past 200,000 again. And it starts to continue because the supply shock is happening. Now people are flooding to get more Bitcoin because they were seeing what the potential of it, whatever it may be, whatever the catalyst is. But I think going into the next couple years is going to be very, very interesting. And I think the cycle that we're used to on data is broken now. that it could be potentially broken with the level of adoption that is happening. It could be breaking out through critical mass, but who knows? I could be completely wrong, and we go into a bear market that lasts 2 years. Who knows? Because that's what happened last time. We topped out, we got faked out, we went into a 2-year-long bear market, and people still couldn't even believe that we were back in a bull market when Bitcoin was starting to bounce off of 16,000, because people were calling for 10,000. They were like, it's not over. It's going to continue. And then even when Bitcoin was at 40,000, people were still shell-shocked and could not believe that Bitcoin was now in a bull market. They were like, it's not true. The ETF then finally came out, and people still couldn't believe that we were in a Bitcoin bull market, and they were like, we're in a bear market still. It was that bad. That's how shell-shocked everyone got and how nasty it became. And it's like, that's why I almost feel like all the people that were bullish crypto, besides the institutions, like we were in, and then we got so disheartened by what happened, we couldn't come back in fully, and we couldn't believe it. And then the institutions came in and bought everything up. And now we're having to play catch up to the institutions that were basically spitting in our faces and laughing, and then now they're all in. We cannot let this happen, my friends. We can't let them overtake us like this. We got to show them. We're the the people that were first mentally ill to come into this space. But yeah, so data, Halloween is in the house. What's going on? We didn't check. We got to give all the shout outs. We got to give the shout outs. Thank you to Stay Calm. What's up, Stay Calm? What's up, Mr. Kaisley from Canada? Oh, Canada. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, too. All the people watching in Canada. All the Canadians. Canadian A's. We got Eric Espacino. We got the Nerd Robot. He said, dude, we're stuck in alts for 3 years while everything else making new all-time highs. I know, it's terrible. Yeah, like that's where it can be a little tricky with crypto, because there are times to be bullish alts. And really when they're beat down is where you have to believe the most. And it's tough, but I'll give it credit where credit's due. Think about the XRP people. XRP gets a bad rap, like there's a very split opinions on XRP. It's almost like you either love it or you hate it. You're like, nope, I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole, or you think it's going to go to $1,000. It's like there's no in between. I might be the rare case where I'm in between. I get it. I get why people are bullish XRP, and I respect the conviction, because if you had conviction for people, if you had conviction like the people of like XRP during that just like treacherous bear market for XRP, we'll pull up the chart real quick. I mean, you saw some massive gains. You really did. I mean, you really pulled it off. You pulled it off. Look, I mean, 46. It was in like four. It was at a point in 2022 that sucker went down to 28 cents, and it was just beaten down. Got a nice little pump. It even went back. It even pumped and then went back down into the 40-cent range. Like look at all this DCAing, like juiciness, and that takes conviction. That's like you gotta be able to buy when it's like the worst, where it's just like ugh, and you're taking a risk. You don't know if the thing is going to continue to go sideways forever, or even go back down to like mega bear market lows, like think of like, COVID lows, like at 10 cents or something like that. I mean, you don't know. But you have to believe in something. So I will give that credit to the people that were just like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance. And this is the thing that you could do with any coin, because they all have risk to them, and then some of them just have more asymmetrical upside and potential than others. Just sometimes even just by analyzing the chart. But then look at this chart. I mean, it's just going sideways. I mean, you just like, and then there you go. And then you get, obviously it's like with this, it was a lot to do with the Trump pump, a mention in a crypto reserve or stockpile or whatever it may be, and also combined with bullish news of the case. So definitely some catalyst that could make a chart pop like this. But look, that's 600, 700% move to the upside. But that's the thing with alts. It's just, that's a perfect example of where you just have to pick your battle of whatever altcoin you're going to decide to accumulate. One of them, I mean, AVAX seems like it's pretty battle tested. Like we've mentioned AVAX as one of those coins that, like, look, this thing got beat down to in 2023 all the way below $10. It was like $8.58. And from those lows was able to hit that euphoric alt season again, back up to $64. A little bit of strength, but you still have to take a chance. You don't know if this thing will just go sideways, bleed into ETH, bleed into Bitcoin, but you're taking chances on these alts because of the potential of the upside just with everything. But you have to have patience, because if you do want the 600%, break into previous bull market all-time highs, which is the hope of all alts from last season, is can it get to even just the all-time high from last time? Can it break the all-time high? This is what I analyze with a lot of these old coins. Can it get to where it was previously? You just have to take the risk. You have to take the chance. And that's the game with alts. The alt game is real dicey, because now we've been proven that it was Bitcoin kind of all along that should have been the most the highest percentage to be in your portfolio over the past forever. And so that's where you also have to give the Bitcoin maxis credit as well, where even though they could be annoying sometimes and they'd call every single coin besides Bitcoin a shitcoin, they kind of have a point to, like, if you're going to take the risk in alts, you got to be smart about it and not have it be like 50% of your portfolio. You need to have Bitcoin be like 60, 70% of your portfolio, maybe even go as far as being 80%, and then you use the other 20% to speculate into the high risk game that is the old alts. But we all know why we're here. We want to make money. We want to take bets. And I like that, Sami watched his video earlier today, or was it last night? I can't remember. I think it was earlier today. And he's like, I'm here to take bets. I'm not here to be the person who's right. I don't want to be I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, or it's like he's fine. He's like, I'm fine if I'm wrong, and I kind of feel the same way. It's like, I'm okay if I'm wrong, but man, if we're right. Yeah, yeah. Headband says the ticker is money. I mean, yeah. We in a metaphoric sense, we whatever the ticker is, we're hoping to extract some wealth out of it. We like being part of communities, and we like to feel welcome, and we want to be a part of something. That is also part of I think the community aspect of crypto. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to change our lives through magic internet money. And so we're all taking these bets, and we have to believe in something. And there's thousands and thousands of cryptos that you could choose to put that thesis on and see how you do. And that is what we're here to do. But hopefully we can educate you guys at the same time and keep you entertained, That's the goal, right? That's the goal. All right, so let's see how many people are watching across all platforms. We have, let's see. It's not showing us. All right, well, it looks like we got about 100 people watching total. So we have some people watching on X right now. I think that the Ticker Bitcoin community, they've been so gracious and just like popping in. They've been super bullish watching the live stream. They know we are a Ticker Bitcoin friendly live stream, and also they like getting that sweet data too, the sweet data. But we're gonna talk about just a couple other things real quick. Then we're gonna play the Trump clip of him on Squawk Box this morning, the phone call, and we'll just kind of go through it real quick. We'll piece through it. We'll pause it. We'll comment. We'll do some commentary on it. You guys, if you have some analysis or questions, we will go through it. And then towards the end, we're going to go through these White House documents, and also the SEC document that was from Paul Atkins, the new SEC chairman, who's bullish long crypto as well. White House obviously being bullish long crypto, trying to release things that the American public will never click on or read, but hopefully we're going to click on them and read them, because we should check this out. We should see how the government is going to be handling crypto the next however many years, because obviously with the Democrats, they were very anti-crypto and had a whole Operation Choke Point set up to like basically ban crypto completely out of the United States, and companies were running for the hills. Okay, so that's what was happening with the Democrats in charge. So now that we have the Republicans in charge, and it's been pretty much all, for the most part, pro-crypto, now I think more than ever, if we, for these 4 years, demonstrate that America can make a lot of money and keep an industry here, then the result would be that we continue to have a Republican-run administration, pro-crypto, the next coming 4 years. And then it leads up into this really interesting theory of the 2030 climax of where society and just the human race as a whole is going either two directions. One, total dystopian control, where we lose our sense of self and soul and basically don't go down a very good path. And then there's the other one, where we actually go into a golden age of human suffering goes down, wars stop. We finally have this massive awakening, and we start to realize our true potential, and we have a revolution on planet Earth. That could be where we are headed as well. But it's all up to us. It really ultimately is our choice, because it's all our actions combined together, right? What actually moves and programs your reality. So let's, the next 4 to 8 years, live into the hope and also believe and act that in 2030 we will have been now brought our purpose into expanding the human race into a golden age for our children and their children's children, and not into a place of utter hell. All right. So with that being said, let's bring Trump in, and hopefully when he says ushering in the golden age, I hope that's what he means. I hope that's what he means. Bring it down. Let's you know, let's hope there's a bigger meaning and not just, you know, words, because words are very powerful. You don't want to just say stuff. Right, my friends? You know this to be true. All right. Rate cuts, top signal. Well, there's the opinion with the rate cuts is that why does the Fed have any reason to cut rates if the market and the overall economy isn't as bad as when they had to cut rates for whenever it was during COVID and they had all the fears and during those points. But then there's people saying, like Trump, saying, hey, those numbers are false. They're not real numbers. And it's only hurting the American people that the Fed has keeping the rates where they are. All right, so let's watch this.
And now to the guests that we've been talking about all morning. President Donald Trump. Mr. President.
Let me know if there's like it's the sound's good. There's no doubling or anything like that. Just give me like a thumbs up in the chat.
Welcome. Thanks for calling in. Wish you could be here in person, but we'll do this.
Good morning, Joe.
We've been talking about the BLS and the employment numbers all morning long. Sometimes I know you get a chance to tune in. I want to bring up a chart. I hope you can see it, or else I'll describe it to you. This is the response rate over the last 10, 12 years for the BLS, the household survey. It's dropped from 90% or so on time down to 60 and sometimes even lower. It's arguably the most important number we get about the economy. Yesterday, we had Wharton Professor Jeremy Siegel on. Just bear with me, Mr. President, and listen to this. I know you're familiar with Wharton, but unsolicited, this is what Jeremy Siegel said yesterday about the numbers.
I'm not going to let the BLS off the hook. I mean, you talk about how to fix it. Make these questionnaires mandatory and give them a time limit to fill it out. I think the response rate's down to 60%. I mean, that's unacceptable for the most important statistic that we have. It's almost like we're sending them out, fill it out when you can. We know you like to go to the beach in the summer, so it might be a little bit late. This is just not acceptable today. We need that response rate has to go up. And when you make the biggest mistake in 50 years, why? Why wasn't there an explanation?
It's 258,000 less in 2 months. That was the biggest revision since 1968, Mr. President. So we're in the internet age. We still can't get any instant data. We're still using snail mail to get the responses back. It is the government, after all. Antiquated.
This is where blockchain could come in, and you can just smart contract all this stuff,
No doubt, and certainly suboptimal, but rigged. Where do you get the notion that it's rigged, or do you have any evidence there?
It is antiquated, but it's also very political. And I had an election recently where I did very well, won every swing state, won the popular vote, won everything. All right, won all the counties. It's I think 87% of the counties were Republican up. That's never happened before. And yet I had to go through hell. And just days before the election, they put out numbers that it was like the country was on fire. It was doing so well. And then they did a revision about 2 weeks later, and the revision was down by almost 900,000 jobs. You remember that? And I said, what would have happened? What would have happened if I lost? Think of it. I would have said they gave phony numbers, and then they revised them a week and a half later.
Those were benchmark numbers, though, Mr. President. That happens. They do that. They do that twice a year, and it reconciles the monthly figures with, like, the overall numbers. And it was a big number, and obviously
the numbers were rigged. The numbers were rigged. Biden wasn't doing well. He was doing poorly. They announced these phenomenal numbers 2 days before the election. And a little bit before that, always these great numbers, and you knew it wasn't doing well. You knew prices were through the roof and inflation was terrible. The whole thing was bad. But think of it. Then they did the biggest revision, I think, in history of almost 900,000 jobs. And it turned out to be more than that because later on they did another revision. And so they gave phony numbers in order to win the election. After I won the election, I said too big to rig. But after I won the election, then they announced a downward number, in other words, to bring them back to reality. And I said, wow, supposing I would have lost, I would have blamed that, and people would have said I was a conspiracy theorist. It's crazy.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know she was, I think she was Labor Secretary for 8 years under Bush II, and she was your Transportation Secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when it's hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
Well, I think when somebody says the commissioner is not involved, I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. Why should I? She's a very nice woman.
Exactly.
But when they say that that nobody was involved, that it wasn't political, give me a break. Look, before the election, I had this massive outflow of beauty for Biden. I mean, he didn't know he was alive. And for Biden, the economy was roaring. It was a beautiful thing. And I said, there's no way this is happening. It's going the opposite direction. And 2 weeks later, they said I was right. But even if you look at the...
But if you're any level of smart as an American over the past 4 years, you realize that something was not right. You realize that something was off. Something was wrong. You're like, why is everything so much? Why is it getting harder for me to do all the normal things that I do? Why is everything getting more expensive? And why is all the taxes going up, the insurance is going up, all of it, everything, groceries, all just the basic stuff to be able to live. And then not to mention the rent going up. Then the prices of a house, if you were trying to buy a house, that went up. And if you already had a mortgage, you noticed that all your taxes, just everything went up. You couldn't escape it. And so the only way that you could have escaped it is if you saw it coming, but it just was happening just over a span of 4 years, one after the next, one thing after the next, one thing after another. And then if you weren't careful and you went over your limit of expenses and what you could actually afford, then yeah, the economy is not doing that great. And a lot of people are operating off of credit cards and loans and small loans and trying to still even play catch up from COVID. So the numbers being rigged, I definitely am on the side of like 100%. I think the numbers of whatever they were going to try and tell us that the numbers are complete BS. Because if you were to probably actually break down the amount of money that Americans have lost, it's probably in the trillions of dollars of wealth and money extracted from the American people over the past 4 years. 100%. And it all went into people's people's pockets overseas and not in our hands. It went completely out of our hands. That's why we have to lock in the next 4 to 8 years, because we got to get that money back. And potentially, that is what I really do. Like, if anyone is going to be honest with themselves, you know, they hope that Trump and his team are actually trying to do that. Because if you sell out the American people, you know, I think we kind of started to feel like that. We were feeling sold out. We were feeling pretty freaking sold out. You know, and it showed. It showed that people were just fed up. We were fed up with being sold these lies and feeling completely siphoned in every aspect, and trying and then also to get your little fingers and get their freaking little slimy hands inside of our families and try and convince us all kinds of other BS too. So yeah, this is where I really hope that we do get this golden age. We do get this mega bounce, and we can start playing some ball here.
The ones from the other day, the numbers were very timid, and then they announced something that made them even more timid. On top of it, on sort of a reporting day, I don't know why, it just seemed a little bit more important than most times when they announced these numbers.
We talked earlier that the unemployment rate is still low. It's 4.2%.
It's fine. I'm not saying earth-shattering. No, I will say this. The numbers before the election were earth-shattering. I'm not saying these were earth-shattering. But
no,
then they announced a couple of 100,000 to make it look a little bit worse from, months before. I said, where did those numbers come from? So,
for as much as you want
to, it's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it. People with common sense know it. And a lot of people to keep their head under the covers. And
let's move on to this. Which number do you believe at this point? Because if you noticed, suddenly the chances of what you've wanted for months and argued for months, the chances of a rate cut soared because of these numbers. Do you not believe the current numbers? Because they're playing right into what you want the Fed and Jay Powell to do. They're not horrible, as you said, but perhaps with the tariffs, some businesses delayed some spending. Some consumers may have been less certain about the future. So maybe we're seeing a slight slowdown in labor, but you're going to get exactly what you want based on these numbers. Which ones do you believe? Do you not believe the revised numbers either?
It's not what I want. I don't want that. I wanted it a year ago. I wanted it a long time ago. Jay Powell is highly political, and I think, I call him too late. Jerome, too late. Powell, he's too late. He's too late always. He always has been, except when it came to lowering interest rates before the election, that he did. He worked that out.
Who would you replace him with? I know you watch the show occasionally, and we had an extended interview with one of the prospective replacements, Kevin Warsh. Were you watching that day, or? I
was. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good. Sometimes they're all very good until you put them in there, and then they don't do so good. But a lot of them, I think he's a very good guy. I think I say Kevin and Kevin. Both Kevins are very good. And there are other people that are very good, too. But,
Kevin's like Karens. I don't know if that's good.
A lot of times, they're very good. Like this character that we have in there now, Jerome Too Late Powell, he was very good. He said, "Sir, I'll keep interest rates so low. I'm a low interest rate person, sir." You could hardly hear him talking over the desk.
Is Warsh
somebody that worked for me was a big fan of his. Not a fan of his. He hardly knew him, but he wanted him so badly. I did somebody a favor. I put him in there. No, he's too late. He's too late. That name will stick to him.
Can you handicap it at all? Who you're, or you won't know? When will you know? And when will you announce it?
I think the two Kevins are doing well, and I have two other people that are doing well. Look, it's in the end there are numerous people that are qualified. Everyone on your phone right now, in terms of at your beautiful studio, would be very qualified, in my opinion. You guys are better than most of the people that do it for a living. But I watched a lot, actually. No, I think that it'll be one of four people.
Are the
And
other
I'm going
two
to make the
names?
decision soon. And don't forget, we have somebody that left early, which was a pleasant surprise. We have a woman that left early. She announced 2 days ago that she's leaving, and I'm going to be announcing that very shortly, too. That will be, most likely it'll be for the 4 months, for the short period of time. But a lot of people say that when you do that, why don't you just pick the person who's going to head up the Fed? That's a possibility, too.
President Trump, you said there are four names. There are two other names that have been mentioned in the press. One is Governor Waller. The other is the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Are those the four that you're considering?
Well, I love Scott, but he wants to stay where he is. I'll take him off because I asked him just last night, is this something you want? Nope, I want to stay where I am. He actually said, I want to work with you. It's such an honor. I said, that's very nice. I appreciate that. But no, Scott wants to do what he's doing. He's doing a great.
So that's cool. That kind of clears it up. That kind of clears up like who these two Kevins, Kevin Warsh or Kevin Hassett. Maybe we should look these guys up and see what their background is and see how much Bitcoin they own and, things like that.
Great job. And he wants to do what he's doing. So I just take him off. He does not want it. He likes being Treasury Secretary. He's doing
How much ticker Bitcoin do they own? I don't know.
a really good job. We made the greatest trade deals in the history of our country. We had to because we were being ripped off by the world. It's not like we had a choice. If we would have gotten these trade deals, if you would have had a normal president that would have just continued to allow every country in the world to rip you off, we would not have a country anymore. Your show would be off the air. There'd be nothing to look at. It would be a disaster. We were in such bad shape when I took over. Eggs had tripled in price. More than that. Everything was up, and prices are down, and it bugs me. I looked at CNN the other night, which is a failing deal. It's got no ratings, and I'm probably the only guy watching. And I watched these guys talking about, well, with Trump, prices are up. No, prices are down since I came in. Down. All prices just about, except for the price of stock. The price of stock is way up, okay? But prices are down. And if you look at energy, I'll give you an example. Joe, look at energy.
Some of them, but yeah.
Energy is way down. Energy is down to $2.20 a barrel, a gallon now for a car.
Okay. Here's the thing. Love him or hate him. When you listen to Trump talk, he just talks like a normal person, like a normal guy from New York. Isn't he from the Bronx, I think, right? Isn't he from the Bronx? I don't know if it was, is he? I don't know if he's from the Bronx. But it's just, he sounds normal. He doesn't sound like the classic president, like how Obama sounded, like he was very, sounded really like he was gonna really change things and make a difference and really just sounds very sharp. And it was a bunch of tricks. That damn presidential talk language or politician talk, it's so freaking annoying. And that's probably why a lot of people and just regular Americans, they kind of vibe with Trump a little bit more for being the president and being the leader, because it's like, okay, this guy's going to go in the meeting room and be like, all right, listen up, guys. Okay, this is, and he's just going to be able to probably hold himself pretty well in a meeting or in a deal.
It's down to a level, you're down, I guess, around $65 a barrel, but it's going down. There's tremendous energy. And if you notice, OPEC and OPEC Plus, they're drilling more. They want to drill more because I think they want me happy. Because if energy goes down low enough, Putin's going to stop killing people. That'll be nice, even though they're his own people that are dying, him and Ukraine. But Putin will stop killing people if you get energy down another $10 a barrel. He's going to have no choice because his economy stinks.
Mr. President, it's Andrew here. It's great to speak with you. I just wanted to ask you about, you mentioned tariffs, and on Sunday you talked again about this idea of dividends for middle and lower income folks that might come off of the tariffs, meaning the revenue that's coming in from the tariffs. And I wanted you to maybe explain how that might work in practice and how you're thinking about that and the trade-offs between paying.
Give me the check. Mr. President.
Down the debt, which I thought was something you had been talking a lot about, versus sending checks out, because obviously that creates its own debt for us.
So we're taking in trillions of dollars, Andrew. If you look at Japan, we're taking in 550.
Where's the money? That's great. Bring in the money. Tariff all you want. Bring it in. But we better see the money, Mr. President. That is Mr. President. I want to see the. Where's the stimmy? Where's the stimmy at? Because we know very well where we're going to put the stimmies.
$50 billion, and that's like a signing bonus that a baseball player would get. He would get slightly less no matter how good he is, right? But they give a signing bonus of $1 million or $2 million or $20 million or whatever the hell they give today. It's so out of control. But a signing bonus. So I got a signing bonus from Japan of $550 billion. That's our money. It's our money to invest as we like. European Union, $650 billion. Think of it. And they're going to buy $750 billion worth of our energy. And they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. And, by the way, they're going to open up their countries, which they've never done. Japan has never. If you did business in Japan, they would arrest you. You're not allowed to do any business. And now Japan has totally opened up their country. They're even taking our rice, which is something that nobody said was possible. But more importantly, they're taking our cars. They're taking the very beautiful Ford 150, which does very well, and I'm sure will do very well there. And other things that do very well here will also do well there. You'd be surprised at some of the great things we make. But Japan has opened up. All of these. Indonesia's opened up their country. South Korea has opened up their country. But not only opened up, and that's going to be huge business. When you open up South Korea, it's a closed country. And now all of a sudden we're allowed to sell cars into South Korea and trucks and SUVs.
You got to think about that. Like in terms of like a global macro trade, that's huge because that's kind of what put the United States on the map in terms of like the industrial revolution, our factories kind of going through this like where we were actually like making a lot of stuff. And then there was a point where it shifted and it was like glass went to plastic. The cars went from being like really nice, like, like fabricated metal to fucking, plastic bumpers. And it's really fun. It's like we went and why did that happen? It's called greedy ass politicians and people that get in power in the system and the whole thing of people selling out your country. That's how a country gets sold out, So it's probably happened more against us than we've really realized, and it's just because the system is very good at manipulating perception on how things are supposed to be or how things even were. It's almost like they want to completely delete the history of how we used to be a pretty, dominant, great country in terms of stuff that we would create. And then we get convinced as the new generation, oh, well, Americans don't have the work ethic anymore to be able to do the stuff that the people in the China shops and the shoe shops wouldn't be able to and it's just like, what are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? We can still create stuff here, and there's plenty of smart people that could be doing all of this innovation and work in America.
I mean, we're really opening it up. Vietnam is opening up their country. These are all closed countries, but the EU was closed. They wouldn't take our agriculture. I said to, let me just say, a prime minister, a very nice prime minister, a couple of years ago, I said, how many cars are you taking a year? Let me guess, is it one or two? She said, no, we don't take any of your cars. I said, that's right. That's not nice. I said, that's not right. That's not a nice thing, Angela. But they took none of them, and now they take all our cars, all our trucks. Everything is open, 100%. In addition, the EU is going to pay us $650 billion. We're going to round it off, actually, because of certain things, to $600 billion. And think of it. They're going to put up $750 billion. We're a rich country again. Now, these are just deals that I'm announcing. These are the biggest.
We were charting Tesla. we're on the subject of cars. We were charting Tesla. Some people invest in Tesla like they're investing in a car company. Have you ever thought about when you're investing in Tesla that you're investing in the independent space race? You're investing in a solar technology. You're investing in cars, electric vehicles. You're also investing in AI. So whenever and also you're betting that Elon will continue to be Elon and dominate. And so we've actually been looking at Tesla breaking this resistance here, and ultimately with this, I mean, if you think about where we hit that peak point was the Trump pump. We're looking at this on the weekly chart, 495, and then got beat down, got attacked publicly for reasons that we broke down in, on the live stream before, whenever that was the whole onslaught of people, the libs, the liberals, and the Democrats, I guess, going out and keying Teslas, not realizing that they're just keying their own people. Because most liberals and Democrats were energy compliant and ESG and had Teslas, which is hilarious. They're like, Jimmy, you keyed my Tesla. I'm on your side. Oh my God. So I think that Tesla, if you're betting on Tesla with what they're trying to do with AI, and then also with Grok, in terms of X, holy moly. So really, when you're buying Tesla, you're actually investing in an AI, a secret AI company. Basically, it's like not a secret, not secret that they're also trying to dominate in the AI sector. But yeah, Tesla is looking like it could be breaking some of that resistance and getting up right back up into its all-time highs, which could be a pretty solid uptick. But then, not to mention what the president is talking about is all these deals with Ford and GM, Toyota, or just not Toyota, but also just like the American car companies being able to do business in these countries where they weren't able to before. So this could also make some of the auto industry stocks and anything that's tied with it to be pretty decent buys.
Ones, because EU is essentially Europe. We made great deals with all of the countries, and they're being fair about it. One other thing, I mean, for your listeners that perhaps are a little bit less wealthy than some of your listeners, I'm doing something that nobody's ever done before. As you know, for 30 years, Europe has had drug prices that are, in many cases, 1/10 the cost of drugs in here. Same manufacturing plants, same everything. 1/10. I've invoked favored nations. Now, there is no favored nations clause. I've just said there is, okay, because...
Now, this is great, is that he's mentioning this, because that has been such a sore spot for America, is pharmaceuticals. Just pharmaceuticals across the board, whatever your medication is, it's usually like triple, quadruple the price than it should be. And not to mention, it's usually affecting people that their copays are like, they still have to do a copay. The insurance plan that they have is just kind of like crap. And a lot of these people are elderly too. They're getting shafted with the medication costs, and some of these people are living on Social Security and they don't have enough to pay for their basic medications. That 100% morally, ethically is freaking wrong. And it's been happening for way too long. To people that it's like, they're like on their like last leg, last hope, and then they have to freaking deal with that. That's crazy. You know, that's just like leaving just a big group of people in America just high and dry and not able to take care of themselves. And some of them with, you know, chronic conditions that they have to buy this medication. Think about the people that have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, where they have to get insulin. They have to have it or they'll freaking die or have an insulin shock or whatever happens, you know, to be able to balance their insulin in their body. That shit was like triple, quadruple the price at some points. The hell is going on? So RFK Jr., thank God, you know, with his track record of him being an attorney, fight going against these companies and going against, you know, the corruption. I think it's hopefully this golden age is actually coming into us getting healthier. You know, presidential athletics test has been put back into the game here for all kids that are under the, you know, public school to be able to get physically tested and make sure that everyone is up to par and moving again. But yeah, that's a big sore spot. Was always the pharmaceutical industry's taken over, and it was really telling how much control they had, especially during, you know, the basically like really, really weird reality we started to live in during COVID times.
We're not going to pay 10 times more per pill than they pay in Europe. Then that's going to have a tremendous impact on the price of medicine.
Mr. President, what kind of teeth, though, are in those investments? What kind of teeth are in those investments, meaning that would force the EU to make those investments? If they don't make those investments, what happens on the other side?
Well, then they pay tariffs of 35%. No, they brought down their tariffs. So they paid $600 billion, and because of that, I reduced their tariffs from 30% down to 15%. And a couple of countries came, how come EU is paying less than us? And I said, well, because they gave me $600 billion. And that's a gift. That's not like, you know, a loan, by the way. That's not a loan that, 3 years comes up, we have to pay it back. There's nothing to pay back. They gave us $600 billion that we can invest in anything we want.
The deal that you
and nobody knows it, Becky. Nobody knows it because, you know, they don't know.
No, we have been trying to figure out the details on that, Mr. President. So
well, there are no details.
The clarity on
the
that.
details are $600 billion to invest in anything I want. Anything.
Okay.
I can do anything I want with it. And the purpose was they've been, you know, ripping.
Mr. President, can you pump our bags, please? You got $600 billion. Can you just pump our just pump our bags, Mr. President? You said you can do anything you want with it, then are you buying Pulse Chain? Can you buy Can you buy some PLS? Can you buy some PLSX or incentive token? Mr. President, sir, have you seen the hex chart? Have you seen the hex chart? Have you been to pulsechain.com, Mr. President? Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hitting the like button. Let's see how many people we have watching across all platforms. We have over 100 people watching on X. Thank you so much. We have... how many people we got on YouTube? We got 10 people watching on YouTube. Let's go. Let's go. We got people watching from Canada. We got people watching from... I think we have some Aussies in here, too. Normally we have some Aussies in here, some Aussies. And we got some... Oh, Canada. The Canadians. We love our Canadians and we love our Aussies, for sure. For sure. We're very friendly with the Aussies and the Canadians. Every Canadian I've met has been great. Every Aussie I've met has been very nice. That's at least been my experience. I don't know about you guys. Maybe a different story, but All right, so now we're gonna put a pause on this. We're gonna put a pause on this, and now we're gonna skim through this a little bit here. There's way too much in here, but we're going to this is the working group, okay, of basically the strengthening American leadership in the digital financial technology era. And the members of this working group is we have the chair is David Sachs, special advisor for AI and crypto, and then we got Scott Bessent, who's the Secretary of Treasury. Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. We got Howard Lutnick is the Secretary of Commerce, heavily involved with Tether. We got Lori Cannon in the house. What's going on, Lori Cannon? Nice to see you. And then Christy Noem is the Secretary of Homeland Security. Russell Vought, Director of the Office Management and Budget. We got Marco Rubio as Acting Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs. We have Robin Cowell, Deputy Assistant of the President for National Economic Policy. President of Science and Technology is Lynn Parker. Stephen Miller, Homeland Security Advisor. Paul Atkins, new Chairman of the Securities Exchange. We're also going to go through a little bit of that document that Paul Atkins put, also talking about the leadership in digital finance revolution. And then we have Robert Bo Hines, the Executive Director of the Working Group. And so let's see what just the introduction says. So we're going to go through this. The American story is one of innovation, of course. From the railroads that linked sea to shining sea, to the internet that connected the entire world, American entrepreneurs have led the build-out of next-generation technologies in every generation since our founding. Crypto should be no different, and I agree. The working group, as the author of this report, endorses the notion that digital assets and blockchain technologies can revolutionize not just America's financial system, but systems of ownership and governance economy-wide. American entrepreneurs who pioneer new industries using these technologies deserve both clarity on policies that affect their efforts and praise for the progress they have made. The working group further believes that the movement underpinning crypto's development, largely grassroots, of course, mentioning Bitcoin, and dedicated to building a more open and efficient financial system for all, should be recognized. No president gave this movement the recognition it deserves until now, which is very much true with Trump signaling, arriving and showing up at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, which we were had the privilege of going and actually watching and being in the room with now the acting president, President Trump. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So as of June 2025, President Trump's approval rating among investors in cryptocurrencies was 72%. For context, private surveys suggest that more than 1 in 5 Americans, or over 68 million people, own cryptocurrencies. That's nothing. That's bearish. 82% of these investors believed in June 2025 to be a good time to invest in cryptocurrencies. The 64% said President Trump's policies made them more likely to do so. So even though we still think that retail still have their ears closed like this, the optimism extended to institutional investors too. 83% plan to increase their allocations to digital assets in 2025 per survey conducted after the election. The first quarter of 2025 saw venture capitalists deploy $4.8 billion into crypto and blockchain-focused startups, supporting industry forecasts of a 70% year-over-year increase in total venture dollars invested. That's forecasting that these people are wanting to gain 70% year over year in the digital asset realm. The difference from prior years is stark. The Biden administration's approach to crypto was marked by regulatory overreach that we talked about, the choke point 2.0, countered the American tradition of embracing new technologies. Operation Choke Point 2.0 saw regulators push banks to cut off lawful crypto businesses, effectively debanking the industry. And so now we'll go back to what Mr. President was talking about being debanked by JP Morgan and Chase, rejecting him. And and also that a lot of the
Like you were
banks
gonna have a
that were basically we'll go to Cynthia Lummis, said that a lot of the crypto banks that went under were actually solvent. So some of these crypto banks that were targeted were solvent, and they took them out anyway. So let's look at this. Let's listen to this clip, and then we'll listen to the clip of Cynthia Lummis.
Meeting, and people were talking about it with President Xi, and then you went out of your way to kind of say other people are saying, I think you even called it fake news or something. It looked like you were indicating that you were unhappy or that talks had broken down, and we've had a couple of frameworks or some positive moves. And China, you've had a lot of success with other countries. China is a big deal and a big, not quite the elephant in the room, but certainly an important trading partner. Where does that stand? Will there be a meeting between you and President Xi? Anything planned at this point? What's the sticking point now, and how optimistic are you that we get a comprehensive
Well, I can have
deal?
a meeting. We have a very good relationship, but I didn't call for the meeting. He called for the meeting. So the fake news announced Donald Trump wants a meeting with China. No, I didn't want it. No, he asked for a meeting, and I'll end up having a meeting before the end of the year, most likely, if we make a deal. If we don't make a deal, I'm not going to have a meeting. I mean, what's the purpose of meeting if we're not going to make a deal? But we're getting very close to a deal. We're getting along with China very well. I will tell you, you had a point when I had 145% tariffs on. I put in for fentanyl. I actually said to people, where are we now with China, by the way, because I kept adding more and more. They said, sir, you're up to 145%. I said, you got to be kidding. So I sort of had to bring it down a little bit. But when it was up to 145%, meaning we were doing zero business with China, China was collapsing. I don't know if you know that. You haven't reported it if you do. But China was collapsing. China is very reliant on the United States. My relationship with him is very good. I think we'll make a good deal. It's not imperative, but I think we're going to make a good deal. But no, they had a thing that Donald Trump really wanted to go there. No, I don't. It's a 19-hour flight. It's a long flight. But at some point in the not-too-distant future, I will. And just to end this conversation in China, I have a very good relationship with President Xi. Always had, other than the COVID moment where I was very angry with him and essentially didn't want to talk to him, frankly, because, it did come out of Wuhan, in all fairness, which I was saying from the day one. I was saying I knew exactly where it came from. But that did interfere with the relationship. But no,
If you read Dean Kuntz's book, The Eyes of Darkness, you would have also learned where COVID came from in the freaking 90s. Whoa! Dimensional Matrix crack break. Check it out. Hold on. Let's do this together. This is going to prove that time travel is real. A year after her son Danny dies in an alleged accident on a camping trip, stage producer Tina Evans starts receiving paranormal signals insinuating that the boy is still alive. Having never seen Danny's deceased body, she plans to exhume his corpse to put her mind to rest. Assisting Tina is a newly acquainted lawyer, Elliot Stryker, formerly working for Army Intelligence, with whom she is having an affair. They are soon targeted by assassins hired by Project Pandora and barely escape alive. Tina, strongly convinced that Danny is still alive, sets out to discover what really happened to her son and rescue him. Elliot accompanies her, and the pair are chased by other agents instructed to kill them. Tina is telepathically guided by Danny to an underground lab in Sierra Nevada where her son has been subjected to horrific experiments by a top-secret governmental organization. COVID-19 speculation. The novel mentions a bioweapon that in early editions is named Gorky 400 after the Soviet city of Gorky in which it was created. Due to the end of the Cold War, the origin of the bioweapon was changed to the Chinese city of Wuhan And it was renamed Wuhan 400 for the 1989 edition onward, prompting speculation from some in the early 2020 that Kuntz had somehow predicted the coronavirus disease. That happened in 2019 and going into 2020. Holy freaking crap. Yeah. Pretty fascinating.
I've had a great relationship with President Xi. We respect him a lot. They respect us a lot. They didn't respect Biden. They thought he was a numbskull. They couldn't believe he was the president of the United States, and neither can anyone else that happened.
Mr. President, on a different topic, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that you're prepping an order that they say would punish banks that discriminate against conservatives, including potentially Bank of America. I'm going to be actually talking to Brian Moynihan here later today. Can you tell us about that executive order? What's in that? And what do you think the banks have done?
Well, they did discriminate. I had J.P. Morgan Chase. I had hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. I could see if they want to, if they want to do something bad because you don't have any money and you're defaulted and they took people out. But I'll give you me as an example. I had hundreds of millions. I had many accounts loaded up with cash. I was loaded up with cash, and they told me, "I'm sorry, sir, we can't have you. You have 20 days to get out." I said, "You got to be kidding. I've been with you for 35, 40 years." They said, and I mean, I had all this. I didn't know what to do with it. And I went to, and you could ask him, maybe he's not.
So this is President Trump talking about, because we were talking about the Operation Choke Point, and then we'll go to the Cynthia Loomis clip where she talks about how some of the crypto banks were targeted and they were solvent, but they took them out. Either way, because they were just extracting them. They were basically, taking and stealing the money. But this is Bank of America, J.P. Morgan.
Not going to admit it. So I said, I was informed by my people that we have to get out of Chase Manhattan. That's Jamie and J.P. Morgan Chase. So I said, I can't believe it. Well, I was never in this situation before. I've never had anything like it. And it's not like, gee, you're defaulted on a loan. Gee, it's defaulted.
And this is what pushed the Trump family to really go hard on cryptocurrency and then create their own stablecoin, the USD1, and also the World Liberty Financial, basically just becoming even more pro-bullish crypto because of that fact.
I can understand that. That's different. But there's no defaults. I mean, there's nothing but cash. I have a really great company. And then what happens is I call up Bank of America routinely because when I was president, this was after I got out, by the way, I call up Bank of America routinely, and I speak to him, and I speak to a couple of people, and they have zero interest. Brian was kissing my ass when I was president, and when I called him after I was president to deposit $1 billion plus and a lot of other things, more importantly to open accounts, which banks always like. They like accounts because they get interest-free, the overnights and things, there are a lot of reasons for it, but they like accounts. I had hundreds of accounts, and he said, we can't do it. No, we can't do it. So I went to another one. I ended up going to small banks all over the place. I mean, I was putting 10 million here, 10 million there, did 5 million, 10 million, 12 million. I have them all over.
Mr. President, can you deposit some of that cash in my bank account, please?
Put a place, the craziest thing. And it's lucky I even had them. They were doing me a favor. And that's because the banks discriminated against me very badly. And I was very good to the banks. I had the greatest economy in the history of our country when I was president. And by the way, our economy now will blow that away. And you see it happening. But our economy now, because we're a rich country again, because of our trade deals, we've become a rich country again. But no, they totally discriminate against, I think me maybe even more, but they discriminate against many conservatives. I told that story and sitting around tables with other people that were conservative or Trump supporters. I think the word might be Trump supporters more than conservative. And I believe what they did is they went to the regulators. Banks are not afraid of anything but a regulator. They're regulators and their wives. They're more afraid of their wives than the regulators. But the group they're really afraid of is bank regulators. And I believe that Biden or Kamala, and I don't think they're smart enough to do it, but the people that are surrounding the beautiful Resolute desk, you know, the high IQ people that are radical left, I believe they told the banking commission, the bankers, that the banking regulators, do everything you can to destroy Trump. And that's what they did. And guess what? I'm president.
You gotta love it, man. He's like, and guess what? I'm president. This is like crazy. Like no other president has talked like that ever. I'm gonna say it. He's my president, man. Oh my God. It's just like, I love it. It's just like, you gotta have someone that has the has the balls to talk like that. Just think, we were this close. We were this close to having Kamala and Tampon Tim. We were this close. We were this close. Lasers. We were this close. We were a purple hair away from never being able to use a charcoal grill or a gas range ever again. We were this close. We weren't going to be able to ever have a campfire or shoot off a firework ever again. We were this close to every public bathroom being that everyone uses the same toilet. Everyone and the view of the door is chest high. So no matter what, everyone can see you go to the bathroom. That was where we were headed. Half-cut stalls. Free for all. All right. All jokes aside. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's go to Cynthia Lummis's clip. I want to pull this up. Well, Laser, some would beg to differ. Now, if we're talking about Big Mike, Mr. Michelle Obama, that's another story. Balls for days.
Is the Fed blocking the cryptocurrency revolution in your judgment?
Absolutely. The manner in which banks that were dealing with digital assets as borrowers, and they were put out of business, literally, by the bank regulators at the Fed. And those were solvent banks, Larry. Those banks were not failing.
Is the Fed...
Now do you see how the Fed can directly influence how money flows, and they purposely put some of these crypto banks out of business through the banking regulation, which is controlled by the Fed, because guess who issues the freaking fiat currency to go to the banks? The freaking Fed. This is classic. I hadn't seen this guy in a long time. This popped up in the feed. Thank you, Litecoin, for reminding me of the
Oh, bro, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them. And you just drop in and just smack the lip. Drop down, snap, and then after that, you just drop in. You just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.
That's so good. Thank you guys for having fun with me today. I will say I was feeling impatient. I was feeling like I want to express this to you guys because this is what we all have to deal with. I was feeling impatient. I have things that I'm looking forward to. Let's just say I have things that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to prospects of certain things, and I was feeling a little impatient. And then it started to like really get into my brain and into my mind, and I just went down not a good path mentally, and it really threw me off. And I talked to my wife about it. I was expressing how I was feeling. I was just like, I just feel like I can't calm down. Like I feel very just like anxious. And so she told me, she said, just know that in every way, every day, things are getting better and better. In every way and every day, things are getting better and better. And also that knowing that I have things that I'm looking forward to and that I'm waiting for, kind of feeling a little impatient, that I need to continue to move, continue to build momentum. Like it's not, you can't hang your hats on just like a, one thing. You have to continue to move, and you have to, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at today. I'm just kind of feeling like, okay, I'm bullish. Got a lot of things to look forward to. But in the moments, it's hard to do just the day-to-day thing that gets you there, because it's just time. You have to spend the time. You have to chop wood. You got to carry water. You can still have enlightenment and realize all these things, and also go into the pit and realize that you still are going to have to work on things, and you'll get to the next point. So I wanted to mention that to you guys, and in hopes that maybe if you're feeling the same way and you are maybe feeling a little impatient, maybe you're feeling like, maybe something that you are working on, you're not seeing the result right away, and you're getting frustrated and you want to see the result. Like, I will tell you, it's coming. It is coming. Like, it really is. It's coming for you, whatever it is. But you do have to have patience, and you have to trust the process, trust the process. And so we do have to do this with our investments, and to build and compound and kind of trust the process of what we're doing here. And it's going to test you. It's going to test you in a lot of different ways. And yeah, so I guess maybe the words of encouragement would be to just get in a good mind state, to know that it's just, you have to have a little bit of patience. It's going to, you have to just work through these days and these emotions. Maybe go lift some weights or something, that might help too. Lori Cannon, I don't know what did happen to something happened to Da Vinci. I haven't seen anything. What's going on? Let's see. What's up with Da Vinci? Something happened with Da Vinci? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But 13 minutes ago, he posted, something big is coming. Be ready. Reshaping the industry. Standard starts with us. Blah, blah, blah. Tune in August 6th at 8 a.m. See what's next for Bybit. I wonder what they're talking about.
Driven progress. Something keynote.
Keynote
The problem. Trade fine. Not a force is building.
I thought you were talking like something happened to Da Vinci. He's just chilling. He's just chilling. Nice. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for reposting this live stream. Dude, and like Fathead Dave is amazing. Like he worked really hard on this list here. He put together this list of all of the different Sprotos that he follows, and it was just like this mega list. I think I was in which group was I in? I was in group 2, and I was in group 30. I don't know why I was in 2 different groups, but yeah, it was cool though. I was like, whatever list this is, it's a mega list. This is like, I need to make sure I'm following all of these people that are in here, and we can just take over the timeline. We can just take over the timeline fully. We can do it. We can do it, my friends. And why not? While we're here, we'll pull up the ticker Bitcoin chart real quick. And we're also going to pull up... Oh, which chart is it? What is this one? What the hell? Oh, because that one's the price and the market cap. I was like, what in the freaking crap? We're going to pull up the Wojak chart too. We got a couple things to talk about. Okay. All right, the chart's looking pretty decent. We had to pump up to that 13 cents, tested that 13 cents again, hit a double top here, and now hitting some resistance. We're back down to 8 cents. So it looks like we had some people take advantage of the pump. We maybe had some spectators come in and out. They bought at the 6 cents, and then they sold on a 100%. They sold on a 2x. As you can see right here. Holder since 55 minutes ago. But yeah, this is where you just like here. This is like another example of where you have to believe, you know. You can take this coin or whatever coin it is, and you have to put in the risk to reward ratio of what it could potentially go to. So, and if also it has a mission, it has a mission statement. You know, the 10 is for the $10, 10 billion. Morad thinks this thing could get to 20 billion. But then even just for ticker Bitcoin to get to $1 billion market cap, which a lot of other coins have been able to do surprisingly before this one, I've always been very surprised at the fact that some coins that you didn't even hear about them until just like a couple months ago, and they're also just a couple months old, and they managed to get, you know, close to $1 billion market cap. You're like, what the hell is this? So that's why I like a coin that has probably been like beat down. You know, it's almost like an example of XRP. You know, XRP, like we said, bit just was in the ground. People believed in it enough. Retail started to catch the XRP whiff. I wonder if they catch the people's Bitcoin and realize that they can buy the actual ticker Bitcoin under $1, and we'll see what happens. But this is fun. This is fun. All right, now let's talk about Wojak here. We've been talking about Wojak for months and months. We bought Wojak around the same time we bought Pepe and discovered Wojak at the same time as Pepe. I believe it's this pretty much. I think it's the same people. It's the same team. Silent launch. And people started to talk about Wojak on the timeline. Big accounts. And I was like, okay, well, let's not forget that this is the original Wojak, the one on ETH. There are some that it's on. They're on Solana. There's a bunch of different ones, but just to make sure you guys know exactly which one that we've been talking about, we will post the contract in here. And we're going to show you that this is another one of those coins that had performed so well on the euphoric portions of the market with ETH and also altcoins in general, showing a lot of strength. And this isn't the only one that's done that too. You know, like Ticker Bitcoin's chart is represented like that, almost as like a meme coin index. And then another chart that actually had a really good representation of that, is the Pepe chart. But then also, if you look at the Brett chart, the Brett was following ETH really well for the longest time and was able to accomplish that run up to some pretty amazing price territories here. Not as old, obviously. Like this thing is, where is it at? Where is it? This is about when did this come out? This came out in May last year. Yeah. But yeah, people are starting to recognize Wojak, and the thing that I was laughing about. Go to Ragsy. She's pretty in tune with the meme, with the trenches, the meme trenches. She's got a Discord. She's got a pretty tight following. But she posted here, said, "Hey kids, you might want to look at this." And she asked on Grok 3, what are the top 5 memes of all time on 4chan that are characters, not photos, just list them, no descriptions. It says Pepe the Frog, Wojak, the Feels Guy, Troll Face, Rage Guy, and NPC Wojak. So this is interesting. So the 4chan memes have staying power, which we've also have realized this, for the longest time with the Pepe, Wojak, and that kind of those sections of memes, like those OG kind of legacy memes, if you will. And in this post, I mentioned, because she had all these, she asked, my thesis, so people don't know about, they know about Troll. People may not know, but Troll and Rage Guy are both OG 4chan memes. And what was the one she had made a post? And I was like, yeah, you gotta remember Wojak. Wojak was one of those as well. And I was like, it's very undervalued. So we're starting to see the resurgence back into the OG ETH memes. That's kind of what I'm seeing. It could be a big rotation into them. We're willing to take the bet. At least that's what we're doing. That's what we're paying attention to. And I think, honestly, Wojak is severely undervalued compared to those other ones. Because, I mean, look at, I think Troll has been catching some vibes on the timeline. And This particular one, Troll, I think if we're looking at the highest market cap one currently right now and also highest liquidity, is the one on Sol that was 3 months old, that was created on, looks like this was, nope, that wasn't a pump token. Looks like this is the liquidity is on Pump Swap. But was it a pump token? I guess so. But look at this. You can see this thing was just like in the ground, and then I think either some of the Solana cabal came in and said, all right, well so CTO. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like a group came in and CTO'd it. And now it's at 139. And when I think about stuff like that, like, oh, CTO, community takeover, and then I look at like things like Brett or Ticker Bitcoin or Wojak. You look at the liquidity, you look at the market cap, you look at the ebbs and flows. And now Troll is at $140 million market cap, but I don't see the Troll meme, and honestly don't relate to it as much as I do with Wojak. Like Wojak, if you watch Wojak content, it's like gold. It is literally how the regular person feels. If you want to break down like the actual psychology of how Wojak resonates with just the like the range of emotion for a person trying to make it out, Wojak's the king. Wojak's the freaking king. Honestly, if you really want to break down like how the rawness, it's Wojak. Like as a meme, it's Wojak. Hands down. And it's still, and Ticker Bitcoin's my favorite meme coin like that. If I'm going to put it in like a hierarchy of what my favorite memes are and token, it's Ticker Bitcoin. But when it comes down to like just the raw relatability of a meme and a character, it's freaking Wojak. It's Wojak with the looking in the phone at night, walking in to the shift, checking the phone, seeing the reactions, or getting the notif or the friend call and say, "Oh, I made $10,000 on this shitter, man." Randomly, Wojak's been working for years trying to do that. It's the story of the everyman. It's Wojak. So this is where I think where I want to kind of put a little focus on it, because why is this at 23 million whilst something that just had a community takeover goes to 130, 140. So I like to watch something, pay attention, compare. Do you guys do that? I hope you do. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this one. Thank you guys for tuning in. I think we covered somewhat of what we wanted to cover. We probably went off on tangents, but that's just how it goes. You get what you get sometimes with these live streams. They'll be super focused and dialed in and very to the point. And then sometimes you're going to get a crazy rant, and we're going to go off and fly the plane together. And that's just how it is. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure you share this live stream. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell to be notified, so YouTube will actually notify you when I go live. Let me see how the poll ended up. We had 15 votes on the poll. What's the cycle top for BTC? 67% of you said it was 150,000. 27% of you said it was going to be 200,000. And 7% of you said I hold Ticker Bitcoin. So yeah, to the 7% of you, you're amazing. OGs. To the people that said it was going to be 150,000, I want you to unsubscribe and never come back to this channel again. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone should have put 200,000 on there to be just perma bullish, but that's okay. But thank you to everyone who's watching on X. Really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. All 121 of you, if you're actually real. That'd be cool if you are real. If you are real, just say hello. If you're not a bot, say hello if you're not a bot, or put some emojis in. Give me a hand wave. Something. And make sure when you're done watching, you hit the heart button and repost and all that good jazz. We would really, really appreciate it. But all right, guys, have a good rest of the day. And we will see you on the next live stream. Peace out. Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to show you a really quick metric that I found fascinating. So 41% of the people that have been watching this channel and actually liking the channel and the content have not subscribed. 41% of you. But I will say 58% of you subscribed. Amazing. You guys are doing awesome. But I want to say that the people that are not subscribed yet, please, won't you consider subscribing to the channel and joining the Dojo crew, where we are educating ourselves. We're in the markets every single day. We're live streaming Monday through Friday, and we're also posting content on a daily basis that is keeping up with these cryptocurrency markets. And this is where the money is flowing right now, guys. So if you want to get these updates and you want to be ahead of the game, I suggest you start subscribing and dinging the bell to be notified whenever I go live and post content, because you do not want to miss it.
It's the shitcoin of shitcoin. I mean, imagine telling your coworker you're quitting because Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you coin. Boom! Imagine the media reporting on Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you. Ticker is Bitcoin, breaking 1 billion market cap. Now, unless you hate money, go ahead and visit
HPOSNI.com.